was the difference for you? Like what made the difference for you from going from a place where you felt overwhelmed, there's way too much to do, can't get it all done, it's never enough, and a place of procrastination with some of the more important areas of the business that needed to move forward in order for you to put these pieces in place to get to the next level, being in that place to a place where you've got more done, and not more done in terms of like little tasks, but you've got more projects done and people in place and staff and systems and processes, these things that have been on your list. You've got more of those big rocks put in place in the last 6 months than you had gotten done in the last several years. What was the difference for you there? What did you learn, or what are you doing different now that's allowed you to do that?
One of my flaws is that I tend to lean in the direction of really not wanting to start on something until it feels fully formed. So I think it's like a version of perfectionism. It's like a fear of starting wrong, or a fear of doing something and then it's not going to be done the right way and I'll have to go back and do it later. And so I way overthink things. And I think early on you asked me to do a couple of things. I don't remember the term you used. But it was like you had some acronym. It was like a 3-letter acronym where it was like, like good. It was some sort of good enough. Didn't have to.
Oh, Gitmo, right? Is that right?
Yeah.
Good enough to move on.
And I remember you had asked me to write. We're getting ready to hire salespeople, and even before that, we're just trying to streamline our sales process to make sure all of our clients are sold the same way. So there's sort of like a symmetry of like what their expectations are. And you had asked me to write a sales presentation, and I was really stressed by that because we'd been talking about doing that for more than a year, and you used that term and then just asked me to get it done between when we talked and like a week later, and I got it done in, like, if I'm honest, like 45 minutes. And my partner sold, I think, 14 or 15 clients this week with that script, which is insane. Like that's more than he's ever sold in a single week ever. You gave me that idea, that Gitmo idea, and I've applied that to a lot of things. And the other thing that you brought up was something like don't focus on perfection, focus on just progress. And I think that was helpful because a lot of the projects that I had, they felt like, like I can't get these done unless I have like a whole day. I'd have days where I thought, like, if I can just start the day at 9, I got this day free. And then like my wife would need help with something and I'd get started at 11. And then I would think, well, shoot, now I don't even have really enough time to do that whole thing. I guess I'll do it later.
But that permission that you don't have to get it right the first time, you just have to get it going.
Yeah.
Permission for that is so key, and just get it moving. Just get it moving, and you can improve upon it over the course of time. I feel like that's been a big thing I've learned over the last year for myself, is I feel like I have to come up with the perfect fill in the blank process or plan. It's like, this will be perfected over time.
The other thing is just, I catch myself being more diligent about doing, like, starting things, even though I don't want to start them, like, trusting that once I start this, I'll, the inspiration to keep moving will be there, as long as I just get moving. But like, I don't have to wait until I'm in the mood to do something before I do it. And so it's allowed me to be more strategic about just planning time for things, and just knowing that, like, I'm just going to work on this, and it may suck. It may not be what I want to do right then, but if I just do it, whether I feel like it or not, usually I end up being pretty excited about what I'm working on within a few minutes. And so that's been really helpful. And I will say, I mean, it just as a testament to you, I really, for as much as I probably needed a coach, I wasn't planning on getting a coach. I think you and I had connected because you had asked me if I could think of anyone that kind of fit the bill of who you needed. And that might have been a roundabout ploy to work with me, but that's not how I took it at first. And I was really just thinking through other people that might need this. And as I started reflecting on it, I really started to think, I think I would get something out of working with you because you're someone I really have always respected a lot and held in high regard. And I have always felt very accountable to you for anything that I've said that I'll do. I've always really cared about having your respect because you're a person that I really respect. And so I that played an important role, I think. I just that tie I have to you, that I want you to respect what I'm working on, and I want you to respect, the just the level of commitment I have to my word. That played a big role, I think, in things that I've gotten done. Because I can't say for sure. I've had business coaches before where I didn't take them seriously for whatever reason, and I didn't get as much out of that, and that was 100% on me. But I do think that you're a really good coach in the strategies that you have, and you do hold me very accountable. But you also just you've always led from an example that is fairly exemplary, and makes it very, very hard to drop the ball without feeling like I've really let down someone that I care about how they see me.
But things that are actually going to develop and move your business forward exponentially. You may not see all of the fruit of that immediately. It may take 3 months or 6 months or a month before you see the fruit from that energy and the effort you put in. But I find myself included at times that so many entrepreneurs find themselves in a position where they're spending so much of their energy on tasks and projects and things that sustain the business. It keeps it where it is, just to keep running it the way it is. Now, many of you may even feel like I'm already putting like 50, 60 plus hours in just on those things. But when you choose to say, I'm going to allocate, and for Joe, it was 90 minutes a day. For some of you, it may just be a matter of 30 minutes a week or 60 minutes a week. But when you choose to allocate specific time that is sacred towards projects and tasks that are developing the business and exponentially growing the business, it's interesting because even like by doing that, a lot of these other little things kind of dissipate and go away anyway. Because when you're focused on the most important things that drive your business forward, even just an hour a week, you find that your business really starts to gain traction. Where we find ourselves in a hamster wheel is when we're focused on all the things that are sustaining the business throughout the week versus developing the business throughout the week.
Right.
So that is a hugely important thing. How much of my time is spent sustaining the business? How much of my time is focused on developing the business? If you feel like you don't have any time to do it, carve out even just 60 minutes a week, and you'll notice just by starting there, you'll notice exponential differences over the course of the next couple of months. Whatever we're embodying ourselves is going to be disseminated and injected within the team that we're leading. So for you, in the case that you had perfection over progress was the way you used to operate, now operating more from a standpoint of, you know what, progress is better than being perfect. We'll perfect it over time. We need to get this moving. That now being disseminated into your people and the people on your team, not only are you helping them, but you're helping the company, because perfectionism, it squashes creativity, squashes the ability to find solutions, because unless it's perfect, don't bring it up, right? Don't try, don't do it. And so that no doubt is going to pay dividends to not just your people individually, but to your organization over the years. So anything else that you'd say in terms of advice or any advice you'd give somebody who was maybe in the same place you were in 6 months ago? Would be helpful. What would you wish that you knew then? What would you wish someone had told you then that would have helped you then?
Well, I think a lot of the things that I felt like, it would be great if we could do this thing. That would probably take 6 or 12 months though, and we don't have time to do that right now. A lot of those things that felt like such gigantic pieces were, like something that we got done in a day, so it's like there's all these battles of inches that just felt like these epic journeys in our business, right? And really it's like, it's like if I have to step off into this fog to try and get something done, and 100 miles out into the fog, it'll be done. And like 3 or 4 steps in, we're like, oh, it's done. Right. So there's, I think a lot of the things that were stressing us out, we were making a much bigger deal out of it than it needed to be. And it's been so helpful to have someone correct me when I'm wrong in my assessment of myself, because I think we can't move forward from a place that's inaccurate, and so if we're lying to ourselves, I think there's 2 ways we do that. There's the way we're like, we know we're lying to ourselves and we do it anyway, but then I think the other way is maybe like we've forgotten that it's a lie because we've said it too many times. And I think that you've never offended me in doing it, but you definitely call me up from time to time where you're like, no, that's not true. Like that's absolutely a lie. Or you're not sure, and then you'll ask me like, is that true? Right? Like, is there a way that could be a lie? And I literally, like, on my wall, there's a list of questions that I really liked that you asked, and they've just kind of become this list of things that I ask myself. But one of them is just like, what lies have I told myself today? And what is the truth, or what would I like the truth to be? And I think that it's just been so helpful to let go of some of those things that just weren't serving me, and either accept what was true or adopt things that I'd prefer to be true.
A lot of the things that we believe to be true, we believe they're true because they're stories we've told ourselves over and over and over again. We have a whole narrative about why XYZ is true of me, or why it's true of this situation, or why it's true of other people, or why it's true of how business and how life, or what's possible or not possible in our professionally or personally. We form these stories and these narratives about those beliefs that reinforce them. But what we don't realize is that, like, really the undergirding, the foundation of this belief is just a story.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, who manufactured that? Who created the story? It was me. I created the story. So if I'm finding myself believing something, I realize that I'm the one who created this to begin with. I can create something else over here that is just as equally, if not more true, and recognize that that didn't serve me anyway. So what's the point of believing something that I can't prove to you unequivocally with scientific evidence that this belief is true? And because of that, it's just a belief. And so if there's a belief that's not serving you, the first step is to recognize that it is what it is. It is just simply a belief that you have. And that belief is only there because, like you said, you keep feeding it, and you kept, selling yourself on that belief. But we've forgotten, I love what you said, that sometimes the lies we tell ourselves, we've forgotten that they're lies. And having somebody else in your life that's able to help you even question the beliefs. Maybe you don't get rid of the belief, but even just to question it and say, is that really true? How do I know that it's true? How is this impacting me believing that it's true? Could there be something else that's equally as true, if not more true, that I've overlooked?
It's impossible to have an unbiased outsider vantage point on yourself. It's just really impossible. And so it's been so helpful. It's been so helpful to work with you. And I will say, the amount of progress I've gotten 6 months into, I can't remember I think we're working together for like 13 months to start or something like that. But you've gotten the short end of the stick. Any concern I had about, ROI, or whether this is a good use of my time, or whether this is a good use of my money, or whether this is going to be a productive use of churning up all of the emotions I said I didn't have, or whatever. It totally is. And so I think that's the last thing I'd like to share, is just that if anyone that's on the fence about whether or not this is a productive use of their time or a productive use of their financial resources. Money is so replaceable, but everything you've helped me put into my business has replaced what you've cost over and over again, and will continue to. And so I'm really, really grateful for everything that you've done for me so far.
Thanks, man. I will tell you, you're an absolute delight to work with. I look forward every time to our conversations. And one of the things I appreciate about you, and it really is consistent with all the clients I work with, though, is just that you're someone who's not just self-reflective and coachable, but you're someone who puts things into action. So when we discuss things, like, you take action immediately. And I know that when we get on our next session together, there's going to be a myriad of things that were accomplished, but it wasn't just the little tiny things. It was the most important ones, things that we had discussed and the things that you'd come up with. So the one thing I'll take away, there's a lot of things that I would take away from your story, but the one thing I'll leave people with who are listening to this is take the first step. Whatever it is, take the first step. It's likely going to be easier, and it's likely going to happen faster than you think. Most of the time, we're stuck in inaction because of what Joe had said earlier, that we think it's going to be this big, arduous, huge task to get done. And so we keep putting it off. But more than likely, just by taking the first step, it's going to be easier than you thought, and it's going to happen faster than you thought. And then keep putting one step in front of the other. So thanks again, Joe, for sharing your story with us.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Again, so much respect for you as a person, but also for what you've accomplished professionally and personally over the last 6 months. And I'm excited to see where that takes you these next 6 months. So thanks again, friend.
Yeah, thanks, man. Have a good weekend.
You too. Bye-bye.